Larry coming? He's not moving. He just, okay. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. It is my job to open the meeting today and get us started. So we will start with our inspiration. Larry McKenzie. Yes, he is on Zoom. Are
Good
you ready for
morning.
your inspiration this morning, Larry?
I am.
All right.
One day, a man was walking along the beach when he noticed a boy picking something up and gently throwing it into the ocean. Approaching the boy, he said, "What are you doing?" The youth replied, "I'm throwing this starfish back into the ocean. The surf is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw him back, he's going to die." "Son," the man said, "don't you realize that there are miles and miles and miles of beach and hundreds of starfish? How could you possibly make a difference?" After listening politely, the boy bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it back into the surf. Then, turning to the man, he said, "I think I made a difference with that one." That was by Lauren Elfsley. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Larry. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our members that are here today are Nancy Ferry, Dave Shannon, Mike Florio, Mary Cavanero, Kate Orr, Len Thornton, Steve Smith, Jill Roaring, Sylvia Baptiste, Gerald Stevens, and myself. And Joe just came in, Rodniak. On Zoom, we have David Jones, Mike Licata, Margot Sue Bittner, Tracy Farrell, and Larry McKenzie. Is there anyone else who's come on since? I don't. He's and okay. And Eric Schneider. Yep. Okay. Thank you. I'm now going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, Mike Florio.
Thanks, Beth. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. Good morning. This is our last meeting here, so try to make it a good one. See how it goes. I'm going to let you guess what my hobby is. That's it, bowling. Yeah, I'm a golfer at heart. What can I say? I think everyone needs a hobby, right? I mean, even if you're not good at it, you could just say, well, it's just my hobby. You know, it kind of takes you away from the normal, day-to-day grind of your job or whatever. And it just gives you a chance to kind of say, all right, I'm going to try this and maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. So everyone I feel like needs a hobby. So before we get into talking about hobbies a little bit further, I thought I'll go over the jobs this morning. And I want to bring up first my general evaluator, Joe Budnick. Come on up, Joe. We'll get you right away.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So as general evaluator, I will be evaluating the evaluators and the general tone of the meeting, which sounds like a pretty good, interesting one. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. I'll bring up our jester this morning, Steve Smith. Good morning, Steve. Come on up. Morning.
Morning. Thank you. I have a few things here that I'm sure you'll love. My wife says I have too many hobbies. I already gave up tennis and swimming, but painting is where I draw the line. Oh, come on, wasn't that bad? Okay, it was. I collect box sets of 90s sitcoms. And I was asked, do you have friends? No, I'm very lonely. Yeah. One of my hobbies is time travel. I do it from time to time. Hmm. And one more before I get thrown out of here. You- Why do you have to be so careful if you're learning about hot air ballooning as a hobby? It's easy to get carried away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. With that, we'll go with timer. Nancy Ferry, you want to come up and explain your role, Nancy? You?
Thank you. I will do that. Timing is very important at Toastmasters. It keeps us with some parameters and boundaries, which are sometimes hard to learn. And when we learn them in here, we can use them outside as well. As timer, I will be recording the time for table topics, which is 1.5 to 2 minutes with a 15-second buffer. Evaluation, 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second buffer. And most speeches are 5 to 7 with a 30-second buffer. Let me know if they're different. I will show a green and yellow and red folder. And also, I believe Len will be posting them on the person speaking or on the camera. Anyway, you will see them somewhere.
Thank you, Nancy. Let's bring up our WAG master this morning, Beth Banks. Beth, come on up. Again, we meet again.
Oh, we're supposed to say our hobbies. I have different hobbies in the summer and in the winter. In the summer, probably my two favorite hobbies are swimming and gardening. And it brings me to the word of the day, which is enjoyment. I believe that if you have a hobby, you must be getting enjoyment out of it, or it probably wouldn't be your hobby. So I'm going to say enjoyment is going to be our word of the day. Thanks.
Great word. And definitely when you come up, please share your hobbies with us. I didn't know that you like to swim, Beth, so that's great. Let's see, Quizmaster. We'll go to Sylvia Baptiste. Sylvia, come on up. You're a Quizmaster today.
Hobbies. I love that. My hobby is I love word searches. So my husband lost his couple of his hunting partners and he's trying to drag me into his hobby. Last year was the first year I went deer hunting with him, opening season. And I sat there looking around. I'm watching the squirrels. I'm watching the birds. I'm watching all these great things. And I looked at them after about 2.5 hours. And I said, I'm going back to the house. Yeah, but he was so excited about this. And he's excited this year too. He's like, oh, we got to get you a gun that fits your hand and this and that. It's like, oh, I don't have the heart to tell him I'm not going. But as Quizmaster, listening skills is very important with Toastmasters, and I will be quizzing you on the exciting things and hobbies that people have today.
Thank you. Thanks, Sylvia. I just can't imagine Sylvia toting a 12-gauge shotgun in the forest. But hey, everybody has their hobbies. And with that, I want to just kind of go over maybe some of the top 10 hobbies. I had about the top 30, but I thought that the top 10 were kind of surprising and they opened up my eyes a little bit as kind of where we're going with our hobbies in the United States. Number one was cooking. which I thought that's great. You know, it kind of, for me, it's grilling, right? And I'm not really that much of a cook, so I guess you would consider it a hobby, what I do when it comes to cooking. Number 2 is reading, which I thought was kind of interesting. Number 3 are your pets. I didn't really think of your pets as being your hobby, but they're kind of like family members to me, some of them sometimes more than hobbies, but I guess so. Number 4 is kind of telling to me, which this is kind of a sign of the times. Number 4 are video games. See that? I knew that would kind of elicit that response, right? And funny that video games, number 4, beat out outdoor activities. So now that is the sign of the times, is it not? All right. I mean, you don't want to go fishing, but you want to play maybe I don't know, war games on your video games. So that was kind of surprising. Number 6 is shopping, and I guess that's a hobby for some people. Shopping online, going shopping, you get a little exercise. Number 7 is travel. Remember, video games are beating out all of these, right? Do it yourself, do DIY projects were number 8, and arts and crafts. And then number 9 is socializing. I guess that could be considered a hobby. I'm a Rotarian and a Toastmaster. This is our kind of I guess you could call this our hobby. If you've been doing it for what, 15 to 20 years, would you call being a Toastmaster a hobby? I'm not really sure. This is a career for some people. So I think it might be that too. Yeah, that's true. That's a form of socializing. And then number 10 is gardening, which is way down there compared to video games. Yeah, that's true for us anyways up here. So I thought that was interesting. So now you've got all these ideas in your head, and I am going to pass it over to Margot for table topics this morning. And then we'll see what some of your probably hobbies are. So Margot Bittner,
Thank you very much,
all
Mr.
yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. And as our timer stated, time is 1.5 to 2 minutes with a 15-second buffer. And one of your jobs today is to remember to use the word enjoyment. Hobbies are something we all do to enjoy and relax. And I think Beth had a great point. Some people have different hobbies in the summer and in the winter. So Mary, I see you're there. Would you like to join us at the mic?
There's so many distractions around her. Good job, Mary. I got my name got called out of everybody.
I'm going to pull that gavel out. Remember.
Good morning, Mary. Is there something you especially enjoy doing in the summertime? Tell us about it, please.
So, I enjoyment. I like gardening because after my mom's dad died, like I took over gardening everything in his garden, and I garden everything in my garden, like deadhead, and do a lot of flowers, and I help plant and everything. But one of my other favorite hobbies to do in the summer is horseback riding. And I just restarted horseback riding. But a couple weeks ago, I fell off a horse. But I'm okay, just so everybody knows. And like Beth said, I like swimming because we have a pool. And we use it all year long for every single like holiday and stuff. I plant vegetables and like jalapenos and hot peppers and tomatoes. Yeah, I travel. We're actually going on a vacation Friday and Saturday to Ellicottville. But we travel to Florida and everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. So I guess I see Dave, is it Chasen is in the room today. Dave, would you like to join us?
You. Come on up, Dave. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, my friend. As a new Toastmaster, I'd love to know, is one of your hobbies collecting something? And if so, what is it? And remember, you can change the topic and go with it.
Thank you so much. First, I would like to say, and this is absolute truth, I get a lot of enjoyment about being here. I am glad that I joined this group, and it only took 2 years for Mr. Licata to convince me. Because I get up early Wednesday mornings too. Well, I have two hobbies, two different parts of my life. When 1960, I was 7 years old. And I was dying to go to sleepaway camp. And my parents said, "You're too young." And I said, "No, I'm not." Well, they shipped me to the school in the Bronx. And my collection, my hobby at that time was comic books. And they said, "We're going to get you $2 worth of comic books." Now, you would think that's not many. But back in 1960, it was over 20. So I sat on the bus in 1960 with Marvin Kirshenbaum next to me. His collection was ho-hos, ding-dongs, on every little confectionery treat you can imagine. Well, the trip took about an hour and a half, and we spent some of the time on our first night in the infirmary because we kind of emptied his hobby. All right. So that was my hobby many years ago. Today, I love doing woodworking. I love making projects for other people. I even do picture frames because I was taught how to do that. And my latest wood project I'm really enjoying is I built a cradle out of oak. And 4 people, 4 little youngsters have already used it. And the 5th one, she's 6 days overdue. So the next one is coming and she will be using the cradle. And I'm very happy to use my hobby that helps other people and makes them smile. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Thanks,
I
Dave.
think I need to do one more, but this
Yeah,
time
I
I think
think
I
you
need to go
do.
to Zoom and get somebody else. And oh, Lion Phil, you've joined us you're this morning. So Lion Phil, we're talking about all kinds of hobbies and avocations and getting enjoyment from them, which is the word of the day. You just concluded your year as Lions president. Is that one of your hobbies or is it one that you prefer?
Well, Madam Topics Master, I get enjoyment out of my hobbies, as most people should. Now, a lot of hobbies were mentioned, and I think I've tried every one of them. I get a great deal of enjoyment out of these things. But the one that's number one, and I did with my son, I have to always tell this crazy story. Video games. My son, he'd come to the house, we'd play video games, Star Wars. Anybody see that Star Wars? It's called a first player shooter or something. You fly around space in the Star Wars thingy and shoot up things. It's just crazy. My son had taught me how to play it. I played it for a while. Oh, this is crazy. He'd spend hours on it. It was sort of a hobby that turned into a profession. Thank goodness for going to school, University of Rochester, got a naval ROTC scholarship. And he ended up flying for the Navy, doing the real thing for 8 years. And when he was on deployment, he said, it got a little tight up there. And I said, what do you mean by tight? He says, well, you know, you're flying real close to the other planes on the other side, and you might be flying in a fog at wingtip to wingtip 8 feet. And he says, we're about 1,000 feet, 500 miles an hour. I'm going, what? He says, what did you do? He says, I just kept looking out the window, make sure we didn't touch wings, because that would have been disastrous. And I go, whoa, I'm glad I wasn't there to do that. But sometimes the things that seem like they're awkward, like video games, can turn out to be a blessing. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much. So I guess at this point, we do need a timers report and a word master report. So.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Margot.
Oh, as timer, I am happy to announce that all three of our candidates qualified: Mary at 1:32, Dave at 2:06, and Phil at 2:05.
Thank you. Our word master. I bet.
All three of our speakers used the word today. Dave, I'm going to give him credit because he used enjoyment and enjoy. So he actually got 2, and Phil Russell also got 2. So thank you very much.
So please cast your votes for either Dave, Phil, or Mary this morning. Thank you. And Mary will be around to collect. Sure. And also Len has a few quotes. I missed Len on the sheet. That's a demerit. So Len, take a break and come on up and let's hear a few quotes.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. First one is by David Walton. Someone's hobbies can reveal a lot about their personality. The second one by Stan Jacobs. To be happy in life, develop at least 4 hobbies. 1 to bring you money, 1 to keep you healthy, 1 to bring you joy, and 1 to bring you peace. And the third one, Dale Carnegie. Develop a hobby. Let the winds of enthusiasm sweep through you. Live today with gusto. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Len. And Kate, this morning, we have a guest this morning. Hello, come on up, Kate, and introduce the guest. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I would love to invite our guest, who has been a longtime Facebook follower and really has clicked and liked and shared a lot of our meetings. In the room is Michelle Roman. She walked in with David. And so maybe at the end, you can come up to the lectern and say what you thought about our meeting. All righty. Thank you so much. And who else on Zoom has joined since we did the roster? Phil joined and Marshall joined. And am I missing anyone else? I just want to make sure we know who's in the space today. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Kate, and welcome, Michelle. Thanks for coming in person. It's a little different in person. I think it's more fun. Anyway, before we go on to the next portion, Len kind of touched on hobbies, and he talked about the 3. But I've now read that there are 5 parts of a hobby that you might want to consider when you're doing it. Okay. One is one that makes you money, a hobby that keeps you in shape, one that helps you be creative, one that builds knowledge, and one that evolves your mindset. Okay. And so there's 5. Exactly. Perfect for Toastmasters. You're stealing my thunder, Dave, but that's okay. We'll go over them. I'll go over a couple now, and then maybe after the speaking, we'll go over a few more. One is making you money. I have a friend of mine who started making earrings, and then she turned it into a business, and all of a sudden her hobby became quite a substantial business for her. And then myself, I guess personally, I did a little DIY projects at my house, and one kind of led to another, and it turned into a business. So your hobby could really turn into something more than what you started out to be, kind of. Mark Twain said, "Find a job you enjoy doing, and you will never work a day in your life." So good words there. One is one to keep in shape, a hobby. Now, my hobby was running. I don't run as much as I used to anymore, but we've got this great facility here. The Y, I see Nancy in the pool. You've got to have a hobby that I think gets you out there active. Jill's got horses that gets you outside and doing doing whatever and staying active. All those things, just kind of getting some movement in your life is a great hobby, I feel, to have. One is to be creative. It's a great stress reliever. For me, I think creativity might be guitar. Some people like art. Some people like knitting. There's all kinds of hobbies out there. You don't necessarily have to be good at it, because if you heard my guitar playing, you might just kind of go, okay, does he do this for a hobby? Keep your day job is usually what my brother will say, but it's still fun, and to have something that kind of takes you away from the norm, right? And that's what it's all about. So now we're going to switch it up just a little bit this morning. Dr. Gerald Stevens is going to install the new, what would we call it? The new officers this morning. So there won't be an evaluator for Dr. Gerald, but come on up.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I'm excited to induct our new officer group. But before we install the officer group, we need to have all our current officers stand. In your spot, please stand. And I will go through the list because some of them are not here. Our current president, Kate Orr, Vice President of Education, Nancy Ferry, VP of Membership, Les Robinson, if he's online, VPPR, Public Relations, Eric Schneider is online, Sergeant at Arms, Mike Florio, Secretary Carol Halstead, and our Treasurer, Beth Banks. And of course, we don't want to forget our tech, he's not really an official officer, but our tech master who left the room, and our Zoom master, Mark, who help our meetings immensely. So round of applause, job well done. Monthly meetings attended, officer trainings attended, kicking butt and taking names. Great job, officers. You are hereby dismissed of your duties for the year. I feel like a judge. I do have a gavel. Do something. However, we do have our new group of officers that are coming in. So this time I would like these officers to come forward if we could. Our new Sergeant of Arms, Mary Cavanero. Our Treasurer, Beth Banks. If you could kind of stand in this order, that'd be great too. Yep, right over here. Yeah, Beth's gonna stand right next to you. Yes, we want pictures of our incoming officers. It's okay. It's okay. Our Secretary, Carol Halstead, which she may be online. She couldn't be here today. Okay, that's right. Our VP of Education, Mike Florio. VP of Membership will be Marty Johnston, who also could not be here, correct? And our VP of Public Relations, Les is changing roles, Les Robinson. And let's see, I don't think I missed anybody. Eric, our president, how could I not forget? And Len, I did thank you for your past duties as our Zoom master. It's an unofficial officer position, I guess we've made. So you're not actually on the script here, but I want to thank you for everything you did and what you will do in the future. So we'll start off with Mary. Mary, your duties as Sergeant of Arms, arrange the meeting location, maintain club equipment, ensure the supplies are adequate for our meetings, greet guests when they come in. If you could do that, we all do that. But it's good to do that. And help the president make sure they are aware of the time. So I'm pretty sure you're good at that, actually. So here's a gavel for you. So you just hold that. Okay, we're gonna pass it to the other officers. Do you agree to do those duties? And just say, I do.
I do.
I do. Awesome. Thank you so much for undertaking this role. You can pass the gavel to Beth. Beth, as treasurer, do you wish to continue keeping accurate financial records? You don't have to answer that. Do your best. Yes, thank you. Announce when it's time to pay dues, collect dues, and keep us in strong financial order. I do. Great. You could pass the gavel to Mike. And an unofficial role also is Kate will be past president. So I guess we could also have Kate come up here. She actually isn't even on this list, but I did not want to forget Kate. So Mike, as Vice President of Education, your duties are to there's a bit of duties to keep us organized in regards to our educational commitments, to approve members as they are completed with their educational commitments, provide educational topics at club meetings, successful speaker series, better speaker series as needed. And as the second highest ranking officer, preside over the meeting in case the president is not available. Are you willing to do those duties? He does. He does. Are any of our other officers online? Is Les Robinson online? Only Eric. Thank you for that. So our other officers, Carol is a repeating officer, so she's aware of her duties, and Beth is a third time treasurer, so she's treasurer. So we'll get some people to step up. And Eric Schneider was a previous officer before and also a past president, but he is again. So Eric, are you online?
Yes, I am, Gerald.
Okay, great. And I will hold the gavel and face you. As president, you are in charge of it all. You're the king. So you are responsible for keeping this group going strong, running monthly meetings, interacting with different officials, area directors, division directors, organizing us in regards to contests, and keeping us on track. Are you willing to do those duties?
I will.
I do, or I will, yes. All right, you are hereby installed as president and officers. It doesn't say here the duties of the past president. However, I'm going to pass this to Kate. Because I want to say my own duties because I am the past president. As past president, Kate, are you willing to guide Eric in regards to his jobs as presidency and provide your knowledge to this group of officers to keep them going strong forward and keep this club strong?
Also, we even set up a slate of officers for next year, and that's what I'm looking forward to keep this stuff going strong. Yeah, I do.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that. This is the point where the rest of you all stand up now. So all the rest of you can rise. AM Lockport members, are you willing to support this group of officers and preside, come to the meetings, fill all your roles, and be the best member and learn as much as you can and be active in this group? We do.
We do.
All right. Round of applause for everybody involved. I don't know if, Jill, do you want to take another picture of the officers that are here? I know it's kind of a little disjointed view maybe, but after the meeting? Okay, that's great. So awesome. We look forward to this year, and I'm going to pass everything back over. Oh, before I do that, my hobbies. I do have some enjoyment of various hobbies. So there's a fine line with hobbies. Is it work or is it hobby? I don't know. Sometimes I guess if you love it, it isn't work, as Mike said. Number one is travel for me. You guys probably know that. Is barbecue ribs a hobby? Okay, all right. I didn't know if it was a passion or not, so I was kind of befuddled with that one. Is drinking beer a hobby? I don't know. I have some hell yes out there going on. So, tasting, yes. Beer tasting, yes. Has to be the specific words, right? Yes. Because apparently there's a lot of other breweries that have arisen, should I say, in the area, and everybody keeps saying, "Have you gone there? Have you gone there?" And I have not. So I may have to have another year of the beer that goes on. So we'll see and explore those. My wife has started doing metal detecting. So we have this super fancy metal detector, and she likes me to come with her. So I am kind of going to be enjoying metal detecting as a new hobby. And we have Dave Licata raising his hand, unsure why, but. Okay, well, you can, they do find rings. I have gone to, they actually have a group in Western New York, believe it or not, and they have meetings, and you have insurance, and they tell you the permissions and the ins and outs of metal detecting. Yes. And they do find rings. They bring their prizes they find when they wander to supposedly regulated areas and areas you can you're supposed to go to. Hopefully they're not doing illegal things and going to Fort Niagara and looking for stuff there, that kind of stuff. So you got to abide by certain rules. But they do find rings. Yeah. Have you seen Oak Island? Yeah, they have Gary's on there, right? He's a metal detector expert. We met with him down in North Carolina for a training, believe it or not the group, just me and my wife. And he told us some tips as well. So he finds some stuff and big gems. And I wish I can be him. So those are my hobbies. Back to Mike. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Gerald. Now we will move into our speaking portion of the meeting. And the first speaker this morning will be Kate Orr. And David Jones has agreed to step up and be Kate's evaluator. Kate, Dave, does he? Oh, okay. If you'd like to introduce and go over what her title is, Dave Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Both of my hobbies bring me enjoyment and frustration. Obviously, number one is Toastmasters. It's brings me a lot of enjoyment, but at this point in time, there's a lot of frustrations as we try to get distinguished here in District 37. And the other one is that I'm glad that Mark Campos isn't here because last night the Mets whooped the Yankees, but he's not here to gloat about it. This morning, we're going to hear from Kate. She's speaking from Dynamic Leadership Level 5 High Performance Leadership. Timer, it is a 5 to 7 minute speech, and the title is Reflections. Please welcome Kate Orr. Reflections, and there she is.
Thank you, David. Reflections. 5 to 7 minutes is not long enough to reflect upon this year. 5 to 7 minutes just isn't enough. David, as my evaluator, has reminded us, we don't toast as much as we could in our Toastmasters Club. And I'd like to toast to all of our outgoing, incoming officers, but especially all of you. We are what makes this club a family that stays together through the ups and the downs. We learn from one another, and I love you all. You know I do. Here's to you. Show the love. All right. Put that down. Reflections on this year. Okay, a year ago today, I had just gotten out of the hospital. Couple of weeks, tick bite in North Carolina, blah, blah, blah. You've all heard that, and I've become a walking PSA, don't get a tick bite. So when we were planning who's going to be officers next time, I said, well, it's not me. I'm not going to be president. Somebody's got to do it. Dave Licata, Steve Smith, come on, let's get the guard in. Nope, nobody. Eric, super kindly, I'll do it. Eric, you're busy with school. We don't need to Eric, I can do it. And you know what? I'm so glad I did. Many of you know the biggest reason, it sounds crazy, in addition to keeping things going, was I had a little extra time on my hands when I was off work for being sick last summer. And also this year in April, we held our 40th anniversary. And I've been looking forward since the 35th and the 30th and the 25th, which I helped run all those milestone parties. And I was very excited to do that. And so we had our 40th anniversary. What a strong club we have. I am extremely grateful to not be an officer with the same roles that I had this year. Not only did I say, okay, I'll be president of AM Lockport, when Sam Otto, the district director, asked, Kate, will you be area director again? I said, you know, I've been real sick. How about if I'm your plan B or C? Okay, it's you. We're already on plan C. Okay, great. So then I was your area director also. I am thrilled to report that I have said no to every question I've been asked from the district officers to serve as certain roles. I'm also super excited that we do have an amazing district leadership. We were just installed today, and they were all installed at the conference in Rochester at the end of April. And I am thrilled with the leadership that we're going to have in our leaders, Avis and Rachel and Jillian. Now, that said, I also want to make sure you all know I am here with you always as immediate past president. We've accomplished a lot this year. We've had an officer meeting nearly every month except for May, and Eric will continue that. We had our final officer meeting for this term last night. Instead of on Zoom, which we've done for the last year, we met at Panera's, and it was a fantastic handing off. We had our past officers and our incoming officers, and we decided a few things to maintain and some things to update. And we're super excited for what this year can bring. Already, we earned 2 distinguished points towards this coming term. But first, I'd like to report I made a mistake last week when I said our newest member, Zach, pushed us into distinguished membership. Guess what? It didn't happen because we lost a few of our members. They didn't renew. We've seen Edna, like she came to the party, but she hasn't renewed. Mike Reinbold didn't renew. Our numbers didn't match up. We were still short a point. Well, who made up the point? Les Robinson. We have some speeches that those of you who've entered your speeches into Pathways knows they haven't been approved. We're counting them towards July. So we will approve those all starting next week to count towards our next term. But Les said, I have the extra point we need. And so last night we processed it. So for the 10th year in a row, 11th maybe now, we received distinguished presidents again. Hallelujah to you all, because that is an accomplishment that you all have done. Getting back to our points that we've already earned for next year. Eric, as incoming president, has already submitted our list of officers. We had that set in May like we were supposed to. Great work, everyone. Thank you, Gerald, lining up our slate and making it happen. And thank you for an amazing installation this morning. Our second point we already earned because enough officers attended officer training. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Les. And Eric, Marty, and myself. So we had lots of officers attend the training. And I will tell you what, it was run by our district trio, and it was the best Zoom officers training I've been on so far because they pulled in leaders and workshop. Some of the leaders were from our district, some were from outside. We had folks from 6 different states, 3 different countries. It was a very vibrant experience that it's something it harkens back to when we did do the officer training in person. I'm super excited to share that. We also now from our district are going to have Pathways 101 sessions every month. Anybody who is a current member or brand new member, maybe long-standing member that wants a Pathways refresher, you can take those sessions. Some are Tuesday nights or Saturday mornings. For anyone new or our guest, Michelle, before I was president last term, I was for 2 years in a row the vice president of education, hence the ribbing on Mike this morning from me next to him. I have our Q3 schedule in my hands. Guess what, folks? Reminder, we're off next week for July 4th, and then we're back on Zoom all summer, just like last summer. This is coming around. Larry McKenzie has offered to be our Toastmaster of the day. We'll be on Zoom, reminder, and he may or may not have a theme ready to share. Mary has volunteered to be a speaker, and Dave Licata will be her evaluator. It's all about Italy, Dave. It'll be great. I would love to hand this around, and I'd love 2 more people to sign up as speakers. Whether you're on Zoom, actually, I'm going to keep it right in my hands because you can raise your hand on Zoom, and I need speakers and table topics master especially. And then I'll hand this back to Mike. It will come around and we will set up quarter 3. Len and Mike and maybe Nancy as part of the transition will get that situated. I'm very excited for our summer. We may have a summer picnic again. We've done that for a while, and Margot has been a gracious host at the winery. We went to a lot of things this year, more than I would have anticipated. We went back to Canada. Shawfest was a wonderful day. That was a beautiful trip, and maybe we'll do it again. Shakespeare in the Park, we did last summer, and we'll probably do again this summer. We pick one date for the first show, one date for the second show, and go there. On July 6th, our New York Beer Project meeting lunch day will happen. That's Saturday, July 6th. Reminder, put that on your calendars. Used to be just officers for the officer luncheon. Now it's everybody, members and guests, anyone who'd like to come. Am I forgetting anything? And you know what? As much as I'm helping Eric, you all know Eric has been helping me this entire year and long past. I'm so grateful I brought him on. I just got a red light and he's probably busy working, so he hasn't answered. Check your emails, check Facebook, and I will see you at breakfast today at Need the Dough in Ransomville. We're going to have a great time. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate. What a wonderful leader Kate has been, really. Another round of applause for what she's accomplished over the years. Overcame. Our third and final speaker, Tracy Farrell, will be evaluated by Jill Roaring. Jill.
Good morning, everyone. Tracy is doing a speech as for her Distinguished Toastmaster project. Apparently there's 2 speeches for it, and this is her first one. Her purpose is to demonstrate her skill as a leader and a public speaker. This speech is to introduce her plan and vision. And let's see, it's supposed to be a well-organized, well-executed speech about the plan and about completing the plan, the project. And she should strive to achieve exemplary ratings on every evaluation criteria for this speech. So I'm supposed to have 5s on all these little lines here. There, and it's a 5 to 7 minute speech. And her title is Reap the Harvest. Tracy Farrell, Reap the Harvest.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, fellow Toastmasters. I think Jill just set that bar pretty high, but the time has finally come for me to get my DTM. And before I complete that project, I need to complete a large project where I lead people. I got to give you some fair warning. This is going to be a work-related project. But before you get all upset and say, if we have listened to another speech about assessments, and you're telling us, yeah, your assessments are increasing. Isn't this a great thing that we're all being assessed fairly? Don't worry, your taxes are going down. Don't worry. This project isn't about that, because we've had enough of people coming into my office screaming. And I know Michelle in the office, she's had enough of that too. She's been through it all. Instead, this project's going to be a lot more fun because it's going to be about wine. So on September 28th and 29th, the Niagara Wine Trail is going to be holding their Harvest Festival weekend. What does that really mean? Well, that means that I'll be coordinating the event at Margin Manor, where we pick a wine and pair it with food. And that's what my project's going to entail. I honestly don't know all the details of the project and what's going to happen, but I'll kind of give you the basics and walk you through it. And then in October, I'll report back to you to tell you how this event went. First of all, the purpose. I'm going to pick a wine and I want to increase sales by 25% over that weekend compared to the average sales of that week. Plus, I want the sales of that to increase 10% the following month in October. Now, I just picked these numbers out of the thin air. That's going to lead me to the second part of the project. Who's going to help me with that project? And Margot is going to be my mentor. And she might say, Tracy, those numbers are way out of line. What were you thinking? I also have Mike Licata. He's an operations manager at Margin Manor. He's going to say, Tracy, why'd you pick that wine? We don't have enough of that. So they're going to guide me along this process. And we have two other people in Toastmasters. We have Joe Budnick and Dave Licata. They don't know they're on my team, so surprise, but they're going to help us along with the project too. Where's this going to take place? Well, obviously it's going to be at Margin Manor. So at this point you might be asking, okay, now what? What are you going to do, Tracy? First thing I have to do is plan the event. So far I've come up with plum wine. I think Mike's agreed that, okay, we can do that. Now I have to come up with the food pairing. We're settling on an Asian type dish to go with that wine. I'm thinking fried rice as the vegetarian portion of it, and maybe a teriyaki chicken as the protein. So what do I have to do? I have to find a recipe, and I am not the cook in this group. So I'll have to find the recipe and a grocery list, and hopefully we'll have that by July 15th. I'm hoping by July 20th, we'll have a recipe card as a giveaway for that. And from September 20th through the month of October, I'm hoping to have some type of display, displaying the Plum Dandy and the Treasure Beyond Measure wines inside the winery so people can see it as they walk in. The second part of the project is really marketing the event. One thing that's really important is getting that poster out there. So I hope to have a poster by July 20th. It should have a QR code that leads directly to the Niagara Wine Trail that lets people buy their tickets. And then there should be at least 3 Facebook postings. The first one, this is where Margot's going to say, oh, let's reschedule these dates, but I'm thinking let's start off with August 2nd. We'll have some type of a teaser saying what goes well with plum wine or something like that. Then towards the end of August, there'll be something like, oh, it's harvest time. Plums are out. Let's enjoy plums. And then finally, the weekend before the festival, maybe a reveal of what Margin Manor will be featuring during this project. Now you're going to say, what do I need from you as members of Toastmasters? Well, first of all, I have to ask you, if any of you guys have a really good Asian recipe that goes with plum wine, let me know. If any of you guys have any type of decorations or anything that you think would look good as an Asian type display, let me know. And then finally, any of you guys really want to get out to Margin Manor, get involved with this and volunteer to serve plum wine, let me know. We'll be happy to get you involved. So I'll report back to you in October, November maybe, to let you guys know how this project went, what my coworkers thought of this project, what they said in my 360 interview, and how I can improve this project. But until then, I hope you find enjoyment in the harvest. Fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Tracy. I am going to call for a timers report. Nancy, come on up.
Thank you, Kate. 717 qualified with the buffer. And Tracy, 603, no buffer needed.
Thank you very much. So please cast your votes for either Kate or for Tracy. Now, we talked already about your hobbies, maybe making you money, right? Keeping you in shape, being creative, but there are two more that I wanted to maybe go over. The fourth one, if I can find it here, hold on one second, is to build knowledge, your hobby. It should be able to. Now, I'm kind of one of those YouTube nuts where I go online and I want to learn. I anything that I have to do, like a do it yourself at home kind of thing. I go on YouTube, and the other day I learned how to fix an appliance, a washer. I'd never touched it before, but they walk you through step by step. Anything to do with my car, my house, I think it's the first thing I turn to. You could save yourself so much money by doing it. And I didn't really consider it as a hobby, but I guess it is. And, you know, I've gone through the internet, at least my wife's told me, like two or three times already. I've gone through the whole internet. She's saying, how long are you going to sit there for, Mike? So I don't really have a lot of downtime. You know, if I'm not working on something or playing with one of my hobbies, I'm thinking of ways that I could have another hobby. So anyway. And then the last one is evolving a mindset your hobby should be able to do for you. And the theory that they have here is that there are two types of people. There's people with a fixed mindset and people with a growth mindset. And I believe after reading this is that the people in this room are in the latter, right? They're in the growth mindset of people, because the fixed mindset of people, they believe that you can't really learn anything. What you know is what you know, and that you can't grow. And I believe that the people in this room, they're not afraid of failure, right? And failure is not a bad thing in my mind. Failure is something that when say for instance you're lifting weights, you lift till failure, and then it makes you stronger. And I think that's what it does as a Toastmaster as well, is that you come up here and you challenge yourself, even though you might be a little bit afraid of what you can do. I know there's some people in here that nothing with public speaking, you know, scares them at all. But when I first started, I remember the fear that I had, and you overcome it after a while. And then after a while, you start going, well, this is kind of fun. And I think I'll take on the challenge. I think I'll do it. And it becomes much, much easier. And that's what Toastmasters brings as a hobby, if you want to call it a hobby. So I think it's top notch. One of the best things I've ever done for myself for my career, and for my own sanity to get things out, and to create a voice for yourself as to kind of where you stand on things, and how to go about, you know, dealing with people. I'm a little concerned that these days that we're kind of in a way where more people are doing video games, and they don't socialize, and they don't get out there, and they don't communicate with people. And I think a lot of problems on a local level, and maybe even on a national level and on a world level, could be solved if we did communicate more person to person, instead of through drones and television and, you know, over the phone or whatever. So anyway, I feel there's a lot of good there. All right, before I drone on here, it's been a lot of enjoyment, and we will go now to the evaluation portion of the meeting. And our first evaluator this morning on Zoom is David Jones. David.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and thank you, Kate, for your speech. It was entitled Reflections, and you reflected on your time as a club officer. And I liked how you started with the toast, because I have mentioned it in the past, because that was one of the things I always enjoyed about this club. Although when I think of a toast, I think of a toast, and I noticed you drank out of a straw. So that was, I don't know if that's still considered a toast or not, as I guess as long as we're toasting, it's okay. You started talking about how you were planning and finding a replacement for yourself early on, which I think is great. We need to already start grooming people and thinking about who's going to replace us, even if it's 12 months down the road. The basics, you had great vocal variety, hand gestures. Obviously, you're comfortable standing in front of a group and speaking. But your speech was well designed. It was very informative. You talked about what the club has done, the journeys, the ups and downs and challenges, and where you want to go as a club. And that you already have a couple of goals submitted based on the club officer lists and other duties of the club officer to do. So you're setting up the next team for success already. And then also you spoke about the district, not just about the club. You talked about the club training and different opportunities for people to learn through the district. And finally, I did like the props are always good. You had your little sign-in sheet, and that's a way to get things done immediately when you're in person. Now, as far as room for improvement, I only saw one, and I could actually hear Dave Licata festering as we were waiting for you to come up on deck. And that's one of the big things, is always be on deck and ready to go. But starting next week, it won't be an issue because, or in 2 weeks, because we'll all be on deck on Zoom. And then finally, I liked how you talked about things outside of the club. You all do the picnics and the parks and the club events and even a breakfast. And I think that's what keeps your club so strong and makes everybody stay for many, many years and participate, is the activities you all do outside of the club. And with that, I'll turn it back to our Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Our next evaluator, evaluating Tracy Farrell, will be Jill Roaring. Come on up, Jill.
I must say, thank you, Tracy, for bringing this to us. It sounds like it's a very interesting project and something that Margot probably had to do herself. And she is, in all likelihood, more than glad to let somebody else take it over for a project. Evaluation. Reap the harvest. She didn't exactly say reap the harvest at the end. I didn't write down what she did say, so that's my fault here. But it was similar. I think it was enjoy the harvest, so she got the word of the day in there. That's okay. Yeah, she was the only speaker to do that, Katie just said. Which means Katie didn't do it. Katie forgot to say enjoyment. Wine and food pouring event. She introduced the project fantastically, told us what her many steps were going to be. One by one, date-wise, what she had to do as far as today, tomorrow, which wasn't specifically today, tomorrow, into June and July, throughout June, July, August. And she may want to work on, I put being realistic, but she already knows that. So her idea of the percentage increase apparently is too elaborate. Now back to the back page. Clarity. Spoken language is clear and easily understood. I definitely gave her a 5 on that one. Tracy's very good at that. Vocal variety. I gave her a 4. There's probably a few things she could have gotten a little more lively. Eye contact, 5. Camera, excellent. Gestures, could have been better. It's tough to do it on Zoom. Much easier to do it here in person, but we can't do that all summer. Audience awareness, comfort level, interest, and plan, I gave her all fives on, so she did very good there. The one other thing that I saw that she could have done a little better was in asking for our help, she kept on saying, you guys. You guys. And that's a very, it's a rough way of saying, she could have said something like, maybe my fellow members can help me out. Or something on that idea. But otherwise, I'm sure some of us are really looking forward to this speech and the project. So thank you, Tracy. Now on to my hobbies. It is gardening, more so than horses at this point. More so than horses at this point. I love to have it be horses, but it's tough to be around horses when you can't feel your feet. That is kind of a painful way of dealing with horses if you can't feel your feet. Along with you trip and fall and go backwards and who knows what else. But my gardens has actually led to some financial gain with me selling my elephant ear plants, which I will probably get out by the road this weekend. So that's my hobbies, Mike.
I think gardening's a great hobby. All right, well, we'll go right to the timers report. Nancy, come on up.
Mr. Toastmaster, Dave Jones, 212, Jill Roaring, 310, both qualified.
Thank you very much. And before I pass it over to my general evaluator, I just wanted to let you know that next week, Larry's theme will be, 2 weeks after. 2 weeks. All right, take your time because it's all about procrastination. That's the name of it. So it could be my middle name sometimes. You take on too many hobbies, and all of a sudden, just kind of, I'll get to it, and here it is. Anyway, I will pass the torch over, if you don't mind, to, you can take it from here. All right, Joe, if you want to, you can introduce you can bring on all of the job holders. Thank you very much.
Just want to say hello to our guest again. What was your name again? Welcome, Michelle. Hope to see you again too. From Newfane, but I live in Lockport now, so yeah. Oh, cool. Very nice. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to say congratulations to all our new officers. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you very much for serving, and look forward to another great year. So both of our evaluators did a wonderful job. Dave, you were very clear and articulate as always. And Jill, I liked how you used the sandwich approach. You used also like the guide, like the scale of 1 to 5. But one thing I liked about it was the fact that you explained why you gave each number to Tracy. Instead of, well, here's a 1, I give her a 4 with this, and a 5 and a 3 and a zip, whatever. But you explained why you gave her the numbers you did, which was really cool. So like to introduce to our job holders, and may we hear from our Wagmaster, Beth Banks. Thank you, Beth.
I believe our word of the day did pretty well. We used it. Oh, Sylvia used it. Mike used it. Mary, Dave, Phil Russell, Len, David Jones, Tracy, Jill. We did a very, very good job with our word of the day. We also had some really good vocabulary words that we used or phrases. I like harkens back. I like festering. That's a word that just really kind of gets you. Articulate. Very good. Mike, I liked the evolves your mindset and then kind of taking it a little bit further to the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. That was very interesting. Very good. We also have some things we could improve on. Gerald, me and my wife really should be my wife and I. hmm We used at least 10 times. We used and as a filler. Yes, and is an appropriate word, but if we continue to use it, it becomes a filler. We used like, Phil Russell thingy, kind of. We used okay a few times, but all in all, a very good meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beth. I am a readaholic. That is my hobby. I have been since I was very young. So, and I also actually, when I was Toastmaster, that was a theme, was a joy of reading that I gave once, if you guys remember many moons ago. So I'd like to hear from our Quizmaster, Sylvia Baptiste. Thank you, Sylvia.
Okay, let's see our listening skills. Does anyone remember number 9 that Mike said? Socializing, very important. I have my youngest is a social king, I'll say. He used to get in trouble in school with that. Mary's hobbies are, I should say. What does Mary grow in her garden? Spicy things, Mary. And she loves swimming and she likes horseback riding. David's hobby, when he was in 1960, David Channing. Comic books, a lot of people had that one. And Phil's hobby with his son? Video games, who would make a career out of this. And that's my quizzes.
So do we have our winners by any chance? Okay, wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go.
So best table topics is David Shannon. Congratulations, Dave.
Dave.
Do we have table topics?
We are going to shake your hand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Our best evaluator, another David Jones. Throw it at the camera, yeah.
There you go. There you got it. Oh, don't want to hit you in the face.
And our best speaker today, Katie Orr. Congratulations, Katie.
Madam President.
Madam President. Thank you, Katie.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Do we pick? Go ahead.
You're killing me again. $3. There's $8 here. There are 4 tickets in here. Do you guys not understand 50-50?
Maybe not.
You put the money in, but you get a ticket. Did everybody get a ticket? Maybe they were donating.
That's okay. They're generous people. Generous people. They saw the report of how much money we have in the coffers.
650.
Look at that. He wins. Yeah. No ribbon, but he gets the cash.
Chance ticket into produce, all right?
Okay.
Yep, I'm up here still. All right, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I will. Sure.
shake your hand? Or do you have any closing comments?
I had a great time and thank you very much. And that was wonderful.
Awesome.
Wonderful meeting, like the theme. Good job. Mhm.
I love the theme. And again, our theme in 2 weeks. Again, we are off next week because it is July 4th. So no meeting next week. And then we have a July 11th. And thank you to those who signed up. We have Larry with the theme of procrastination. Wait, next week. That's his theme. And then we have 3 speakers signed up. So following Mary, we also have Sylvia signed up and Gerald signed up. So thank you very much for doing that. We appreciate you. I would also love to have, I think we have 3 people in the space who haven't spoken yet about their hobbies, et cetera, and that maybe 4 that we have time for. It's 8:17. I'm going to ask us to stop the recording so that can get wrapped up. But then I would like to, unless you want to wait, and then I'd love to invite, we'll do it in this order. Dave hasn't spoken yet, and then Michelle as our guest, if you'd like to speak about hobbies or anything else. And then on deck will be Marshall, if you're still in the space, and Steve Smith. Did you share anything yet today? All right, then we'll do it in that order. So Dave, come on up. While he's coming, I love reading too. Reading. That's my biggest passion, aside from Toastmasters and Celtic.
Thank you, Kate. I made a promise to myself that my hobby would be to take advantage of the fact that Buffalo and environs is going to become the Hollywood of the East. I promised myself that I would be an extra in one movie, and I promised myself that I would get a speaking role. I accomplished both. The really sad part is I applied for the speaking role, and you do all the auditioning in your family room now or wherever your phone is. And then you send it back to the gentleman. Excuse me. The 3rd time was the charm. The 3rd audition, I got an email back that said, "Thank you very much. You got the part as Carmine. Looking forward to working with you, Eddie Murphy." It's not that Eddie Murphy. This Eddie Murphy is the Orson Welles of Middleport. He wrote this half-hour episode of Twilight Zone. It's basically a Twilight Zone. And he wrote it, he produced it, he directed it, he put it up on Facebook for 10 minutes. I can't find it. I can't share it with you. The frustration, I'm losing my mind. The first time I watched it, I was so tickled pink that I finally got a speaking part in one of these forays into movies. And the second time I watched it, I couldn't help but notice when they rolled the credits, I was number 3. That's a lot of lines, folks. This is just the beginning.
Thank you, David. We love hearing about that passion and hobby of yours in film. And Michelle, would you like to join me up here at the lectern and tell us what you thought about our meeting today?
Well, that's one for me.
Oh, wait, Marshall, first Michelle, and then you, okay?
Good morning.
Okay.
When I first became mayor, Larry Eggert was member, and he kept trying to encourage me to come, but 7 o'clock is hard for me as a teacher. I leave by 6 to go to work, and so 7 o'clock is hard for me to do, but maybe when I retire, I will join your group. I enjoy and I find enjoyment from being around people, and that's one of the reasons why I got into public service. And so I do a lot of reading, gardening, riding my bicycle, and you'd think that after being mayor for 5 years, I'd be better at public speaking, but I get nervous every single time, and I use a lot of fillers and ums and likes and ands. So I do need you guys.
We need you too.
We have a lot of retired teachers and
2027 is when I retire.
not that we're counting down. Excellent. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I applaud Michelle. She attends still so many community events and gatherings and shares about what's happening in the community. And so now those of you who did not know Michelle will see her out and about. You will recognize her as one of our most welcome guests, maybe members in the future. Marshall and Michelle sounds a lot alike. I'm sorry for the confusion. Marshall, the floor is yours. What do you enjoy for hobbies?
Yeah. I love travel. And the travel style I love most is Toastmaster trip now. The last summer holiday for 50 days, I visited for more than 15 Toastmaster clubs in different cities, in Hong Kong, Macau, Guangdong province, Hainan province. And I lived in Hainan for 30 days. I joined their club and I helped them build a new club in a new city. Now, only 1 year, they have 3 new clubs. I'm very proud for it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Marshall is another one in the space that Toastmasters has become a hobby, a passion, personal and professional development. It's fantastic. To wrap things up, our final speaker who hasn't spoken yet today about what he enjoys is Steve Smith. Steve.
Well, thank you. I have numerous hobbies, obviously astronomy, as many of you know. And that hobby is what led me to Toastmasters because I realized that knowing this knowledge and being able to disseminate it to the public are 2 entirely different skill sets. I did not have the one and I needed it. So thanks to Mike Reinbold, who I'm sorry to hear did not renew, I got into this wonderful organization. I also do gardening. I also have quite an assortment of hot peppers. I all the way through the gambit, the mild ones, the Hungarians, which are a very mild, nice pepper, all the way up to Carolina Reapers. So I say I go from mild to what in the world's wrong with you? That I do gardening, and like Phil, I am also immediate past president of the Wilson Lions Club, and I'm glad that's over. But it was a long year. I have numerous hobbies, but I do all sorts of vegetable gardening, and I do help Jill with her gardening, although the flowers is strictly her bit. And it's more than a hobby, it's become an obsession, but it's fun, so we do it. And because of being a homeowner, I have another hobby that most of us inherit that own homes. You fix things. If it breaks, you have to fix it. Right now, my lawn tractor is sitting there up on wheels, and I found out how expensive it is to fix it. So I'm not sure where I'm going with that. Lawnmowers break, we got to fix them. The cars break. Most of that I get done because they're to the point where I can't work on them anymore. Don't know what's going on in there. But generally, you become a jack of all trades when you own a house, and apparently you can consider all these hobbies. So I have all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Ah, he has the best handshake. Good handshake, Steve. All right. I think that is good for now. We do, again, rotate places in Lockport for breakfast usually, but something special today. It's a little farther out. Looks like we have about 10 of us going. So join us if you'd like. We did call ahead, and it's out in Ransomville, Need the Dough Restaurant and Bakery. Any final announcements? No meeting next week. July 11th, we're set. The quarter schedule is coming out, so keep an eye on the agenda.